Welcome back into the TV broadcast studio, coming to you from Cisco Live 2019 Barcelona. Thank you so much for being a part of this entire event. We're so glad, and we hope you keep tuning in all week long and join in all of the fun that this event has to offer. We're going to just keep the conversation rolling. We don't take any breaks here. I've got the fabulous Michelle Dennedy here with me. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, always good to see you.
Thank you, I'm so glad you're here in the studio. Michelle is our VP and Chief Privacy Officer here at Cisco. She is one of those women who, as soon as we figure out, wait a minute, we're getting Michelle here in the studio. You have a moment free in your schedule. That never happens.
I do, I love it. I always am free to talk to you.
Thank you for setting aside the time to talk to us and now to our audience here. So here's what I want to do. Yesterday was a really important day. It was the International Day of Protection. Let's start by explaining what that is and why people need to know about it.
Yeah, so Data Privacy Day, it's over a decade old now, but it's the European Council that really started it for the rest of the world. So it's a day to stop, pause, think, connect, protect your family, protect your enterprise, and think about data in a new way. It is the currency for the information economy.
Okay, so yesterday is the day. We have the big celebration, we have the conversations, everybody's having the
I'm still plucking confetti out of my hair.
I was wondering why you looked a little bit more festive than you usually do when you're coming in.
I'm always festive.
You are always festive. All right, so let's talk about how it affects people in the immediacy. So instead of talking about the long-term benefits and payoffs of this thing that is a decade old now, people walk away from this event, what do they walk away with that is actionable?
So we actually launched 3 products for 3 different types of customers yesterday. One was our second annual privacy benchmark study, and it really talks about tying privacy to business efficacy and increasing your bottom line as you're lowering your risk. That's product number 1. Product number 2 is a scoping workshop. So people, especially our developers community, they can look at privacy engineering, apply the policy and the reasonable and the legalese, turn it into requirements and specifications to build out throughout the development process and beyond. Okay. So that's thing number 2. Thing number 3, we're super excited. It is our subway maps so that you can look at a wide variety of Cisco products and services, look at where the data's going, just like you would when you get on the London Underground. I know when I'm on the Piccadilly line how to get from point A to B, just by looking at that map. Now you can look underground, under the surface of the network, and say, here's my products, where's my data, how do I work on risk and control my valuation as well as my risk profile? Having
full visibility. We talk about single pane of glass all the time, and it's effective in so many areas. It's both technology and forward search. It's been about 7 months since the General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, went into effect.
Super fun for all.
What have we seen? Yeah, super fun for all. We love policy more than anything else. What does it mean for us? How has it changed what it is that we're doing?
So GDPR really is a consolidation of a bunch of laws that had been in place for a long time, but it upped the ante for everyone. 4% of global turnover as a potential downside penalty suddenly got the spine straightened of every CEO on the planet. We saw in our study, as far-ranging as Japan and Hong Kong, people were getting ready for GDPR. And the question is this Y2K where it's one and done, enforcement begins and I can wipe my brow? The answer is no.
We're never done, we're never done.
The party's just getting started. So the good news for you is if you spent the time getting ready for GDPR, getting all your data ducks in a row, now you can take that baby for a ride. You can figure out how to actually navigate this world with a better level of governance and compliance than you ever had before.
That's perfect. One step at a time, but you've got to be prepared one step to the next. Let's take a look at some of the more difficult data privacy challenges that we see in the market today. We go to our customers, we just had a couple of them here in the booth with us. What are they facing and how do they keep up to speed?
So I think their challenges are very similar to our challenges. I do internal governance as well as outreach. For Cisco, I'm calling 2019 the year of the third party. So you kind of looked around your own empire and you made sure things were kind of tightened up to start sailing on your data ship. Now you're realizing that you have a lot of third parties that are impacting your data profile. So this is the year that we're all trying to figure out how do we come to an agreement legally, technically, with culture to protect that data wherever it's traveling throughout your networks, even in these third parties where you don't have immediate control.
Can anybody do this other than Cisco? I know that's such a loaded question for us to ask
well,
here
yeah.
at the show, but I always I hear these big picture stories and they seem overwhelming, and I think, well, how many companies could really address what it is that we're doing? Can anybody at Cisco really do this?
I'd like to say no, because I'm a Cisco, but you know what? Part of the reason we're launching these types of products for your CFO community, for your technical community, and for your governance community is we want everyone to be able to do this. Even in the garage, you can look at your data figure out how you want to grow, who are your customers, who are your employees, protect their data as if it was your own. And we want to teach everyone how to do this stuff. So, yep, I'm proud that we're where we are, we're leading the way. I couldn't be happier to be where I'm at Cisco today. But our goal, our mission is to protect that network and to watch us all grow and prosper with ethics, morality, legality, and commercial success.
No organization is an island. We rely on our partnership so heavily, and part of that is community. We have to build this together. We don't get there independently. I've heard you talk about data curation in the past, and I want to kind of dig a little deeper into your view. What is data curation in your view? Why do we really need to drive toward that in this era of digital transformation today?
So do you remember that old-fashioned concept of data is free and data is everywhere, and who doesn't love a data lake?
I barely remember it.
It's like a concept that's on old walkers right now. Data curation really is like the Marie Kondo folding methodology. If you don't know about the sparking joy
I was going to ask if it sparks joy for you.
It does spark joy for me. But looking at your possessions as your data possessions, now, my advocates are going to say you don't possess my data. Of course I don't. I curate your data. I'm the fiduciary of our employee data, our customer data. And what I mean by curation is really looking and understanding the left and the right sides of the balance sheet. What do I need to consume as a liability or a risk because it's driving business? And then what is the upside? What am I getting out of these data stories that are curated? And so you're validating them just as you would a storefront or any other commercial property. You're looking at your risk profile, you're figuring out what data you need and what data you don't need, and now you can focus on what matters.
I really love that because what you're really doing is creating strength. You're digging through the muck, you're cutting through the red tape, you're getting rid of all of the noise that is going to intercept and interfere with what really needs to get accomplished, and we are helping to present people with what they need to succeed, right?
Exactly. Your data's like vegetables. It goes off after 3 days. Don't stockpile it. It's stinky in there.
Go make a smoothie out of that.
Don't make a smoothie.
Tell me, what makes a successful data privacy program in your view? If you look at our customers and you say, it's working here it needs a little assistance, what does a successful one look like?
A successful one is married to your culture. Culture. Culture eats strategy for lunch. So I have data people, I have technical people, I have creatives. You want every sort of person looking at that curation of data from every single angle so that you're really using information stories about human beings to their maximum. That doesn't mean you're selling people to the maximum price. It means you are causing that kind of connection and respect, and it goes across the company. I don't have to tell 70,000 Cisconians to protect their data. They got to want it. They got to understand that it impacts them, their families, their communities, and ultimately our business.
This just feels incredibly personal for you. I think that's why I've always enjoyed talking to you on these occasions, is you're not just talking from a corporate structure standpoint, you're talking from a very personal standpoint.
I'm building this for my girls. Shamelessly, selfishly, I want them to have the community that I would want them to live in.
Do it. It's really, and that's a perfect way to end right there. I really do wish that we had a whole lot more time. I think we could go for a couple of hours on this. Michelle Dennedy, thank you for the time. Thanks for coming in and for sharing the story here.
And happy Data Privacy Day.
Happy Data Privacy Day to you too.
You.
Keep the confetti in your hair. I think it looks good.
Will.
Guys, we're going to throw out to a very quick video asset that we built together. Cisco is your trusted partner for privacy. We're going to prove it to you right now. We will see you on the backside of the video.
Anyone who handles personal data, whether they're a business or a public organization, has to be able to show their customers, partners, employees, and shareholders their commitment to protecting data. It's vital. And you can't protect data unless you know what data you're collecting, who you're collecting it from, why you're collecting it, where you're storing it, how long you're retaining it, and when you will delete it. Let's face it, that's not an easy undertaking. You can start with privacy impact assessments. They provide limited insight. We wanted a new, better way to visualize our data, and we came up with something radically different, but also simple. We've developed maps that show exactly how data is handled within a whole host of our product offerings. Like subway maps, anyone can navigate, jump on board, and orient themselves within the data ecosystem. The maps give us transparency that we haven't seen before in the industry, and no one else does this. And the beauty of these maps is that it's so clear to see where the data is, where it's entering and leaving our products and traveling along the network. They make it crystal clear in a way that's easy for anyone to grasp, and that makes them a great tool for us to communicate to our teams and our customers our commitment to data privacy. Grab a map and join us.
There you go. Like I said, we are your trusted partner for data security. We are so glad to have you with us on the streaming broadcast, and we're going to continue the conversation. Michelle was able to stick around with me, which I'm delighted. You had a little bit more time in your schedule. We're going to use every bit of it we
Excellent.
can. But we're joined by another friend, Robert Waitman, back over here on this side. We're so glad to have you in the conversation as well, because you bring a different perspective, leading up data valuation, what data valuation is all about. And let's start from the sort of logical perspective. Let's pick up on what Michelle was just talking about, and let's talk about the 2019 benchmark privacy studies. What does it mean for us? Where has it brought us to this day?
Well, thanks for having me join you today.
Yeah.
As Michelle said, it's International Data Privacy Day was yesterday. Whoa, and we were thrilled in advance of that to share some new research from Cisco talking about the meaning and the value of privacy. And the big message, the unmistakable message of that research is that good privacy is in fact good for business. In fact, it's very good for business. Yeah. So we looked at this issue where GDPR has been effective now for 6 months and how firms have gotten ready for it. And those that have made the investment to get ready for GDPR, and a lot of them have, are seeing benefits on the business side. They're seeing faster time to market in terms of their sales cycle. They're seeing fewer breaches, and when breaches occur, they're seeing less impact from that. And they're seeing greater agility and competitive advantage. So our research is a message not only to Cisco, but to the world, talking about the benefits of good privacy.
And really, there's nothing that security is not touching these days. Again, as that threat surface gets larger and larger with the onboarding of more applications and more mobility aspects, it touches every aspect of what we do here at Cisco, but that data privacy, I think it enters every conversation, right, Michelle?
Absolutely, and I think part of the research that Robert was really focusing on is, what is that right ethical and financial worth? How much do you invest with how much do you get out? And I don't think before these kinds of studies were happening, we were really looking at, first of all, how wide is a provincial law? So GDPR is supposed to be covering Europe. Right. And secondly, why does it matter to the business?
Right. And people did want to do this. I mean, this was somewhat painful to go through.
You did see resistance?
I mean, if it's compliance only, you'll say, well, why do I have to do that? But this is like the vegetables that you didn't want to eat as a child. It turns out to be really good for you. So that's what we're kind of showing people, is that investment that they made, not only just to get to the bar of compliance, but also to exceed it and to do the things that are right for our customers that deliver value for your organizations and to your customers.
Absolutely. And Michelle, you just touched on that key word that I think is creeping into conversation more and more, ethics.
Yep.
We weren't talking ethics and morality and how that affects what it is that we do. Even maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it wasn't there. Now I feel like it's coming into every conversation that we have. Why?
I think people are realizing that for the longest time, particularly in the technical fields, it was, could we do it? Can we? Might we? Now it is, oh my God, we can. And so the second question is, should we? And why does it matter to us? How do we? And I think the other thing is, I think the workforce is changing. People are looking for meaning. They're not just looking for, can I make a quick buck? Can I sell out short term? People are looking for meaning, and I think this goes into, why is this a business case as well as this ethics world? And so part of what Robert has done is really tying ethics to business.
This is part of, I believe, a much larger conversation that goes to creating value. We can talk constantly about what it is that we're developing, how we're listening to the industry, how we're being responsive. Are we creating real value? And that was talked about in the keynote this morning. It's not conceptualized value. It's not the idea that, we're building all these great things, you should come and buy them and take part in them. No, we have to create real value for people, or the market simply isn't there, right, Robert?
Yeah, that's true. And as we think about what's going to create real value over the next decade, and we've thought about what does it take to be innovative? What does it take to enable your data to be productive and valuable? And the idea here is that you have to have the guardrails around it. And once you have them, you have a great opportunity to innovate, to be agile, and to create some of those innovative business models. I mean, over the next decade, all of that innovation and value is being created by data that's well curated, that's kind of now valuable and enabling the business to unlock its value. We're very much in the early days of this. Most organizations are just starting to really unlock the value of their data in a good way. Again, not to monetize it in a way that's inappropriate, but with the right barriers around it to use that data effectively to drive value for their stakeholders, again, in a meaningful way. So I think we have a long way to go. Again, we kind of researched a little bit where organizations are with this. Most of them don't yet have a full data map. Most of them don't yet have kind of an approach to monetizing their data, but this is something we're going to track over time, and again, try to share with the world, exactly as you're saying, that there's a lot of value and opportunity to be created out there.
I would agree, and it's interesting, if you go down and you walk around the Cisco showcase, one of the things that we're doing within the pillar concept is this idea of creating real value within the data center, making sure that everybody is where they need to be, but more than that, getting toward these future capabilities capabilities and doing it in the right way. I feel like everywhere we go, this is what we see set up over there. We can see those proof points and those customer proofs that are showing exactly how it works. It's not happening in a vacuum, it's happening in real time, and it takes the partnership that we were talking about earlier, right?
Absolutely, and this is the power of the network, right? So we're underlying that value. If we can build bedrock capabilities, network, human to human, machine to machine, then we can, and we're seeing the data reflect this, you can see people reporting greater agility, greater product mix, greater efficiencies. These are all things, illities that are not necessarily, did the bad guys stay out? We're keeping them out too,
right.
But we want more.
We do want more. What's interesting is as we stand here together in this fantastic space, and we're here in Barcelona, this is data collection on its own, isn't it? This
Absolutely.
is putting people together to have the conversations around what do we do with the data. It's not just how do we get it, but once we've got it, what do we do with it, and how do we do it right? What do we say to people who are here at Cisco Live to tell them, here's how we're here to help you?
Well, I think it's all around these themes of transparency and simplicity. So we're starting from a world that is complex, we don't know where the data is and how it's used, and we make it hard for people to understand that. But we want trying to drive towards transparency and simplicity. That's what the regulations are doing, but also what we're trying to raise that bar around. If you think about it, this should be as simple as reading the label on Michelle's waffles to find out exactly what's in the product.
Michelle, did you bring stroopwafels for all of us? Nicole, where are you?
Where are the waffles?
Nicole's nearby.
I've been waffled.
Sorry, I interrupted you, go ahead.
Oh,
you showed me a waffle. You knew I was going to go off topic, right?
It was planned.
So transparency you were mentioning before, we should be able to make it crystal clear. What are the other ways that we can bring people to this and let them know that we have their best interests in mind?
Well, I think some of it is sharing the best practices. We've done the research so that we can help organizations on the trajectory towards getting better around how they manage their data, and to do it in a thoughtful and an ethical way. So by putting those right barriers around it and enabling the kind of innovation, we're creating success stories, both with ourselves as well as for our customers. And it's those stories that they share with each other. That's what's going on in the hallways here. Hopefully people sharing why it's working and why you want to be as transparent and as simple and as upfront as you can be to enable that kind of innovation.
And Michelle, I see you nodding over there. You've got more to add on to that as well. I can see Robert was sparking new ideas with you. Again, this is what happens when we put people in the room together.
Exactly.
We're out of our silos. So what were you thinking as he was telling that story?
The amazing thing is that now the value added is we could have done these studies and gone back into our legal offices and reduced our risk at Cisco. As you're saying, this is about sharing. Even the study itself, why would we spend a ton of money doing a double-blind research study, curating our own data, coming up with a broadcast out to the world saying, this is how you do it? Doesn't that seem to signal our competitors how to do it?
Right.
Yes, it does. And we're ready to take that race. Race me to the front line of curation. Race me to the front line of ethics. I dare you. Come and get it. Because we're ready to serve the data. It's a privilege to provide a network and to have your communication.
That is such a cool, I've never heard anything put quite that way. Bring it on, we are ready, we have done the legwork, we've gotten ourselves in the background. All right, last word before we go ahead and cut away for this moment. Give people that one golden piece of advice.
Well, I'll tell them to go to trust.cisco.com where they can find great information on this. This piece of work around privacy is the first of a series around cybersecurity and privacy issues. So we're integrating very much the privacy story with our security story, and it's a great story. So we want to share it, we want to discuss it with people, and look forward to the conversations.
That's so great. Robert, Michelle, thank you both for your time. I'm so glad you guys were in here and part of the chaos of this ongoing series. You guys performed admirably. So
thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Go and track it down out there on the show floor. All right, we are going to be back in just a moment. Do not go anywhere. We will see you very shortly.